Group B of the Pettitts Senior Hurling Championship is looking very tight ahead of the round 5 games at the weekend. Shelmaliers currently top the group on 6 points. They've surprisingly had a score difference of -3, which is very unusual for a team on top of the group. St Martin's are in second place, also on 6 points with a score difference of +28. Then you have Cloughbawn, the Harriers and Oylegate all on 4 points, and at the foot of the group are the Rapparees on no points and a score difference of -27. So regardless of what happens this weekend, the Rapparees are going to be bottom of the group, but really after that it's all to play for. Plenty of different I suppose permutations can reveal where teams are going to finish, but we have the 3 fixtures, lads. We'll talk first of all about St Martin's and the Rapparees. Paul, yourself and I were on commentary for St Martin's at the weekend. They were very impressive.
To be honest with you, I think since the Raps game in the final against the Ans, I think that's the most impressive club display I've seen a senior since. All round from start to finish, even after when it was 2 points all, or 2 points and nothing, we knew they were coming strong, they were well set up. Joe O'Connor was picking up a lot of balls at the back, but the big thing I thought was, looking at the other games, the game was based around getting the ball to Rory. I don't think it was that the other day, and it actually helps Rory that the game is not focused on him, that the other players have to clock in and score, like say Kyle Furman, Darren Codd, Jack Devericks, and the backs were very well set up and structured on that as well.
And you were there as well, Ed. What did you think of the Martins and their challenge so far?
Yeah, very similar to Paul. I think what has helped the Martins is actually getting beaten by the Shells. I think, they weren't that impressive against Cloughbawn down in Roche. They definitely weren't impressive against Shells, but the last 2 games they've really come alive. And they have serious forwards, and Paul mentioned 3 of them there. Darren Codd won 4, Jack Devericks won 4, Rory O'Connor won 2. That's 3-10 between 3 players, and Kyle Furman got about 1-2 as well. So they're putting up massive scores. I think when they're on song, they are the best team in the county. They've definitely the best panel in the county, but sometimes they're not on song, but they're a very, very good team. Whereas the Raps, I think it's very unfair to judge the Raps now, because the team that won it 3 years ago, which was a superb team, and the same 15 played every day, there's 8 of those players not available last weekend. And Liam Ryan and Nick Doyle, they're match shy as well, so you're talking the bones of 10 players missing. So what team can afford to do that? Because I think they're going to be serious opposition after when they get to the preliminary quarter final.
It has all been a bit of a struggle for the Rapparees so far, Paul.
Yeah, and unfortunately from my point of view, from being from Outlet, they're going to get stronger for when it comes to the next round. Liam Ryan is just back. See, Ben Edwards was talked out the other day, Ricky Fox, all these lads, Lenny Conley, and Ed Main, name another couple, all to come back in, which are going to strengthen up so much. 1 or 2 players to a club team that's not going well in a group just brings it on so much, I think.
So who do you think is going to win this one, Paul?
I think the Martins, when they're after putting on such a performance last week, I think it's important for them to kick on with this. I think the last few years in the last round they eased off, and I think they got better. I think Faythe might have bet him 1 year and the Harriers bet him another year in the last group game, and I think it stunted them a little bit. So I think it's important for them to go kick on further again and keep producing what they're doing.
Ed?
Yeah, look, again, like Ferns, they're after using so many players now, there's going to be serious competition for places, and Joe Coleman and the likes was only brought on the other day, so I think the Martins will win this game.
Yeah, and so do I. I'll make it 3 out of 3 for St Martin's. Just it's guaranteed that Outlet will play the Rapparees in one of the preliminary quarterfinals, so I suppose the Rapparees might have a bit of an eye on getting ready for that game. The next game we're going to discuss, a really important game for both sides, Oylegate-Glenbrien and the Shells, Ed.
Yeah, this is a massive game, and the 2 of them are going in on the back of heavy defeats, let's call a spade. And this time last year, or maybe Oylegate were flying at the time, and they haven't become a bad team overnight, but they're just not performing in some games, and they got 4 points, but this will be a match that both the Shells and Oylegate will have to come with a performance, because last weekend they won't have been happy with it, both teams.
Yeah, both teams really did not have their shooting boots on, definitely on those occasions, and just didn't perform well.
No, and it's fun. I just find with the Shells, they've they sort of got through the first 3 games, even beating the Martins without performing that well. I think they're struggling for scoring forwards at the minute, maybe. And another thing I find, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, I think there's 10 certain starters for the Shells, but there's probably 13, 14 more hurlers that are very good at the same level, and you have to pick 5, and I think they're struggling to pick which are their best 5 to put on the team to make the team the best, you know. But another thing I thought from just seeing the match the other night, I thought the Shells, which are very good at the running game, I thought it didn't work against Cloughbawn. They were closed down, but they do have big forwards, ball winning forwards. Maybe they might think about going a little bit more direct and getting the ball into them, and maybe their forwards might score a little bit more, because I think between all their scores the other day, I think most of it, I think 115 of it came between frees, and between number 1 to 9 there was only 3 points scored out of the starting 6 forwards out of play, so they're going to have to improve on that. Oylegate, look, Ed mentioned it, they were very poor. I don't think they were brilliant in the other games they played either. I say maybe Des might start looking at, I think he was trying things, putting people in different positions. I say he'll go back to where he was last year with positional wise and go back to what was working for him.
Oylegate really struggled to get forwards into the game. Seamus Casey scored 12 points in fairness, but beyond that there was only 3 other scorers, and one of them was back.
Yeah, Damien Reck scored a point. I think Joe Dunn scored a point and Jamie Reck. But you know, the Martins were on top so much, and Joe O'Connor was left loose, and he no better player than Joe O'Connor. Like, his touch was brilliant, and I just thought the Martins were so much on top that I don't think you can judge Oylegate on that game.
It's a performance though. Oylegate, it's you know, I think I said it to you on the commentary, like, it's the cracks are there to be seen. Now, if you're cruising through winning games comfortably, you don't see this, and then you're caught in a quarter final. I don't think it's the end of the world. The biggest thing they need, even if they don't win, is get a fighting performance, which the lads, that didn't happen last Saturday.
So
a lot of their goals they conceded were actually mistakes of their own doing.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to win this one, Ed?
It's going to be very close. I think I'll give Shells the nod.
Paul?
I'll go for a lowish scoring draw. I don't think it's going to be mad scoring. Judging by last week, what the Oylegate forward scored and what the Shells forward scored, it could be a shootout on freeze either. But I go draw.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for the Shelmaliers. So we have 2 for the Shelmaliers and 1 for the draw. And the final game is another one that is really, really important for both sides. Cloughbawn versus Faythe Harriers. They're both on 4 points. Paul, your thoughts on the 2 sides so far?
I think Cloughbawn are being very, very good work rate. Against Oylegate, I thought they were poor, but still they stayed in the game, and a couple of goals separate them at the end. The other day, I thought was phenomenal, not a wide, which out of 3:21 or something like that, I think is unbelievable scoring. And Bob Weehy stood up, scored. I said it takes the bit of pressure off Conan Flood, who still got 5 points, but I said if they can get more than 1 scoring forward, it's definitely there for him to win, and the other lads are working like dogs really. So I'm impressed with him. I said unfortunately for them 2 years ago they got 4 points on the board as well, but still got relegated, so they're playing the Harriers again in that 5th game now, so it's important for them to go try to win it. Before they had to not lose by 8 points, and I think that nearly affected them. Now they know they have to go win it, which will help them.
Ed, your thoughts on the 2 sides?
Yeah, no, again, very similar to Paul. We know what Cloughbawn are about. You know, they've a very high work rate. They have 4 or 5 outstanding forwards, and you know, Conan Flood 5 points from play from a lad that was being man-marked all championship. He's after putting up big scores. Now the rumours are, whether they're true or not, is that he's actually carrying an injury for Sunday, so he would be a serious loss for Cloughbawn. But you know, Richie Keogh is meant to be out for the Harriers as well, so you know, that was a duel you'd be looking forward to, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it seems as though Richie Keogh has received a suspension for the incident with Dara Pepper in the match. Now, whether it'll be appealed and be successful, Paul, or not, we're not sure, but he'll be a massive loss for the Harriers if he can't play at the weekend.
He's a huge loss, but you know, it's a bigger thing as well. since last Friday night, sure, the talk around the county is this clip that's going around of it, and to be honest, I don't think it's fair on Richie. It should have been dealt with at the time, but as I said, will that disrupt them coming into the week to the build-up and preparation? Hopefully it won't either. They'll have a good performance.
And they were down Richie Keogh in the first round, and I think it did hamper them. Ed, like, he's such a leader there for the
Yeah, no, look, Richie Keogh played junior for the Harriers in 2002. That's 22 years ago. You know, he's given great service, and you're right, he was a big loss in the first round against the Shells, and you know, he proved it against Oylegate. He was actually outstanding in that game, particularly in the second half. So he's definitely going to be a loss, but as anyone is going to be a loss at this stage.
I was down in Timon a couple of years ago when Cloughbawn and the Harriers played in round 5, and you've mentioned the Paul already, where I think Cloughbawn would have gone through if they had lost by fewer than 8 points or something like that, and they just seemed to. The Harriers played very well, but they just seemed to lose their way altogether, Cloughbawn, in that game, and I suppose they'll be hoping to learn lessons from that.
Yeah, no, they will. And look at this thing. You know, when you're told you only have to lose, but just go out and try to win the game. Don't be trying to hold to certain points. Go and win the game and go at it. And that's what they have to do the weekend. Because look, if Cloughbawn lose, they're probably more than likely down to 5th place, and they're going to have a tough game to get to a quarter final or the relegation, which they don't want to get back to.
Yeah, there's actually 6 teams. 6 teams that can end up in relegation, Peter, can go down, like, you know. So it's all to play for, like.
Yeah. So who's going to win this one, Ed?
You see, it depends on whether Colin Flood is playing or not. If he doesn't play, I think the Harriers will win. So I'm going for the Harriers, but you know, if Colin Flood plays, it'll give him a much better chance. But I'm on record as saying the Harriers anyway.
I'm going to Harriers around 4 or 5 points, I think.
Yeah, and I'm going to go for Cloughbawn. I think they might just learn lessons from their mistakes in Timon a few years ago and just about get over the line, but in a very narrow game.